Everyone thinks building a city on Mars starts with astronauts stepping onto red soil, waving at cameras, and planting a flag. But that moment is actually the least important part of the entire plan. The real story starts years earlier, quietly, with cargo ships landing on an empty planet before a single human ever arrives. Because the truth is, no one can survive on Mars unless the city is already there waiting for them. And that's exactly what SpaceX is trying to do. Not just visit Mars, not just explore it, but turn it into a permanent second home for humanity. Whether people are ready for that idea or not. Mars wasn't chosen because it looks cool, or because it's the next planet over. It was chosen because it's the only realistic option. The moon doesn't have enough gravity to support long-term human health. It has almost no atmosphere, and it can't easily support large-scale resource extraction. Mars, on the other hand, has just enough gravity to keep human bones and muscles from completely breaking down, massive reserves of frozen water hidden under its surface, and an atmosphere full of carbon dioxide that can be turned into oxygen and rocket fuel. That combination makes Mars less of a dead rock and more of a locked vault. Dangerous, hostile, but full of potential if you know how to open it. The biggest obstacle was never distance. It was cost. Sending anything to Mars used to be so expensive that even governments struggled to justify it. That's where Starship changes everything. Unlike traditional rockets that are thrown away after one use, Starship is designed to be fully reusable, more like an airplane than a rocket. It launches, lands, refuels, and launches again. That single design decision is what turns Mars from an impossible dream into a logistical problem that can actually be solved. When launch costs drop by orders of magnitude, suddenly thousands of missions become realistic. And that's important because building a city on Mars doesn't take one ship, it takes thousands. Before humans ever set foot on Mars, cargo missions will arrive first. Not one or two, but wave after wave of uncrewed starships carrying solar panels, construction equipment, life support systems, food supplies, mining tools, and robotic builders. These robots won't just unload cargo. They'll begin assembling habitats, laying power grids, preparing landing zones, and digging beneath the surface. Living on Mars above ground is not an option in the early years because radiation levels are far higher than on Earth. Without a strong magnetic field, Mars is constantly bombarded by cosmic radiation and solar storms. The solution isn't shielding with metal, it's hiding under the planet itself. The first Martian habitats won't look like glass domes or sci-fi cities. They'll be buried structures carved into rock and soil, using Mars itself as protection. Tunnels, chambers, and pressurized modules linked together underground, where temperature is more stable and radiation exposure is dramatically reduced. Power will come primarily from massive solar farms spread across the surface, paired with large-scale battery storage and possibly compact nuclear reactors to ensure energy during dust storms that can last for weeks. Mars doesn't just have weather, it has planet-wide storms capable of blocking sunlight almost entirely, so redundancy isn't optional, it's survival. Oxygen won't be shipped from Earth. That would be pointless. Mars's atmosphere is over 90% carbon dioxide, and that's not a problem, it's a resource. Machines similar to those already tested by NASA can split carbon dioxide into oxygen for breathing and carbon monoxide that can be further processed into fuel. Water will come from ice deposits buried just below the surface, melted, purified, and recycled endlessly. On Mars, nothing is wasted. Every drop of water, every breath of air, every gram of organic material is reused again and again in a closed-loop system, because resupply from Earth will always be limited and delayed. Food is one of the biggest challenges, and also one of the most misunderstood. Mars soil, called regolith, isn't toxic in the way people think, but it lacks the biological life that Earth soil has. That means it can't support crops without heavy processing. The solution is hydroponics and aeroponics, growing plants in nutrient-rich water or mist inside controlled environments. Over time, Martian regolith can be treated and enriched using organic waste and bacteria, slowly turning dead dust into usable soil. Early settlers won't eat fresh fruit every day. Their diet will be functional, optimized, repetitive, but enough to survive and eventually thrive. And here's where the story gets uncomfortable. Mars isn't meant to be a short-term mission. The first people who go won't be going on a vacation. Depending on launch windows and fuel availability, return trips could be delayed by years. In the early phases, there may be no return option at all. That means psychological pressure unlike anything humans have experienced before. Extreme isolation, delayed communication with Earth, a hostile environment outside every wall, and the knowledge that one major failure could be fatal. This isn't a job for thrill seekers. It's a test of human endurance at every level. People always ask who will pay for all of this, and that's where things get interesting. Mars won't be funded like traditional space programs. There's no single government budget that can support a city on another planet. The idea is to make Mars economically useful over time. Research, advanced manufacturing in low gravity, energy experiments, data processing, and eventually technologies that simply aren't possible on Earth. In the early years, settlers themselves may fund part of their journey, similar to how people once paid to cross oceans and settle new continents. It won't be cheap, and it won't be fair, but that's how frontier expansion has always worked. There's also a reason SpaceX talks about Mars as a backup for humanity. Earth faces risks that aren't hypothetical anymore. Climate instability, global conflict, pandemics, asteroid impacts, and technological threats all pose long-term dangers to civilization. A self-sustaining city on Mars means humanity is no longer confined to a single planet. Even if Earth suffers a catastrophic event, human culture, knowledge, and life continue somewhere else. That idea sounds dramatic, but it's one of the core motivations behind the entire project. Timelines are deliberately vague, but progress is very real. Every Starship test, every rapid iteration, every failure followed by improvement is part of a design philosophy that values speed over perfection. Explosions aren't setbacks, they're data. What matters is learning faster than anyone else. While official dates shift, the direction never changes. Cargo missions first, infrastructure second, humans last. And once humans arrive, they don't leave Mars empty behind them. They stay, they build, and they expand. Over time, surface construction becomes possible. As radiation shielding improves and infrastructure grows, habitats move closer to the surface. Pressurized tunnels connect underground living spaces to surface work zones. Greenhouses expand. Manufacturing begins locally. Rockets are fueled on Mars, using resources extracted on Mars, reducing dependence on Earth. That's the moment Mars stops being a colony and starts becoming a city. Children born on Mars will be different. Lower gravity will shape their bodies in ways we don't fully understand yet. Their sense of normal will include a pink sky, weaker sunlight, and a world where stepping outside without a suit means death. They won't see Earth as home the way we do. To them, Earth will be a distant blue star in the sky, beautiful, important, but not theirs. That psychological shift is what truly marks the beginning of a multi-planet species. And despite all the optimism, the risks never disappear. A failed life support system, a major solar flare, a supply chain breakdown, or internal conflict could end everything. Mars won't forgive mistakes. There's no rescue helicopter, no nearby hospital, no quick fixes. Survival depends on planning, cooperation, and discipline. That's why selection for early settlers will be ruthless. Skills matter more than status. Engineers, doctors, builders, scientists, and problem solvers will be prioritized, because on Mars, usefulness equals survival. What most people don't realize is that this city isn't being built for the people alive today. It's being built for the next century. The early years will be harsh, limited, and dangerous. But every generation that follows will inherit a better Mars than the one before. Stronger infrastructure, safer systems, and a growing sense of permanence. At some point, Mars won't be a project anymore. It will just be another place humans live. And that's the part that changes everything. Not the rockets, not the technology, not even the science. It's the idea that humans refuse to stay confined to one world. That no matter how hostile the environment, how long the odds, or how distant the goal, we keep pushing outward. A city on Mars isn't about escaping Earth. It's about proving that humanity doesn't stop at the edge of the familiar. Because once the first city stands on Mars, the question is no longer whether humans can live on another planet. The question becomes, how many planets we'll call home next?